Hey gun people, this will be part 2 on dogs. I guess I'll make the other one part 1 because I kind of got into dogs a little bit more. Stupid screen. Needs to have an automatic turnaround so I can see what the hell's going on. Okay, so how to defeat a dog. In the other video I talked about dogs and dogs smelling daylight and all this stupid article that some doctor wrote. So how would you defeat a dog? Well, there's a lot of ways, and some things will work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you think it worked and you did the right things, and then the dog will find you another way. Dogs kind of basically will find you with 3 main senses. They're going to either see you, smell you, or hear you. Now, those in a priority for a dog, their sense of smell is the best, their ears are second, and their eyes are third. So if somebody said, dogs have bad sight, well, if you're talking about compared to their hearing and their smell, you would be right. But if you're talking about the ability to pick up and target things at a distance and movement, you would be wrong. So can you make statements that don't seem sure? Dogs are going to find you in those 3 ways. Dogs can also feel vibrations, changes in pressure, changes in wind. All those things a dog can feel. And just like horses, when they stand in the pasture, their butt's always to the wind. You want to know which way the wind's blowing? Look at a bunch of horses in pasture. Wherever their butts are facing, that's where the wind's coming from. And horses do that because they know they're prey animals, and a predator is always hunting them in their mind. And in order to survive, I want to be able to see where I can't smell, and I want to be able to smell where I can't see. So if the wind's coming this way to my butt, I can smell the air that comes around me. So if a predator sneaks up behind me, I can smell him. And this way I can see a predator because I can't smell him. So, and their ears will come in. You'll notice a horse or a dog will point their ears and constantly change their head. They're moving around and they're trying to adjust those ears. When you put your cup around your ear, you hear better. It's louder. If you can't hear somebody, you'll do this. The sound will bounce off your hand, go in your ear. It will amplify it. So dogs and horses do the same thing with their ears by cocking their head. You know, when a dog hears something, they'll cock that head. They'll put one ear, maybe their strongest ear forward, weak ear, and they'll try to use their hearing. But they're getting information from several sources. Vibrations, change in pressure, movement, sound, smell, visual movement of, just flashes or movement. Dogs can't see really well as far as recognition. They say, and again, this all goes back to cones and rods. They identify horses and dogs same way on what they are. I mean, I think horses have the best night vision ever. Between a dog and a horse, I'll take a horse any day at night because they can just see everything at night. A dog will hear and smell everything at night, but he can't see that well. I can get this distance from a dog and get another person here that's almost the same build, and if he can't smell us and neither one of us talks, he will not know which one his owner is. How do I know that? Because when you're a young GI and you run around with a bunch of dogs and you train your dogs, you try to trick them and you do stupid shit. So we used to put our dogs down there, we'd lay both our dogs down, stay, and we would walk away and we'd both stand by each other, and one of us would give a command and both dogs would do it. And they're only supposed to listen to their handler. That's what we tell them, but they don't know. They're like, shit, I saw a hand signal. This is a hand signal for sit. Sit. So if I just do a hand signal, my dog should sit. But if there's 2 people out here and we got 2 dogs, my dog should listen to me and his dog should listen to him. So I've seen handlers do this that didn't have common sense and couldn't think, and they'd blame the dog. So if I did this, they would chew their dog. No, down! Then the dog would hear his voice. He would see where the voice come from. The dog would lay down, and then we couldn't trick him. But if neither one of us talked, either one of us could give sit, down, come, stay, stop. We could give them all hand signals, and both dogs would listen because they didn't know which one of us was doing it. So people think, oh, my dog knows me, he recognizes me. No, he puts several clues together to know who you are. He hears your voice, he smells you, he sees your movement, he gets next to you, and he identifies you. At a distance, dogs don't know who you are. So at night, a lot of times with my dogs, I would do some long distance training. I'd tell my dog to stay, and I'd take off running, and I'd be way at the end of this pasture, and I'd tell him to come, then I'd tell him to stop, and I'd tell him to stay. And I had my dog, anytime I kneeled down, my dog would lay down. And I just taught him that because we'd be walking, and I would kneel down and say, down. And he'd be like, shit. When he drops his knee, he always tells me down. I'm a pretty smart dog. I think that's a clue. From now on, when he kneels down, he ain't even got to say down. I'm just going to lay down because I want to please my owner. Perfect. So after a while, if I had my dog off leash or he was running around and he was out there messing around and somebody came up, either a supervisor or a bad guy, and I was out in the field, I'd be like, shit. I'd kneel down, squat down, my dog would see me and he would automatically lay down. So we both become a lower profile. And again, that's just principles of conditioning, stimulus, response, reward. And I talk about that in a couple other videos. So how do you defeat a dog? How do you defeat those senses? Well, you aren't going to defeat a dog's smell very easy. But the ways to defeat a dog's smell is to smell like the environment. The more you don't smell like a human, you're good to go. If there is 50 people down here at the end of this driveway, and I get in the middle of those 50 people, dog ain't going to find me. I mean, you can go on video and TV, you can hold him underwear and have the dog smell it and say fine, and he runs in the crowd, he finds me. Look, if there are 50 people out there, the dog's going to smell people. Probably the handler's going to cue, and sometimes the cue is on purpose or it's accidental. When I'm training a dog, I want my cue on purpose. When I first introduce a dog to an odor, let's say I'm teaching a dog to find explosives or marijuana. If I'm teaching him to find dynamite, there's a stick of dynamite in the floor and there's nothing else around. And I walk my dog over and I go, seek, and he hears that word, so he learns every time he starts looking for this, he's going to hear that word seek. That's my cue word. I could use find, I could use bombs, I could use whatever I wanted. But in the military we use seek. So I tell my dog seek, and I bring him right over and I point to that dynamite. As soon as he puts his nose on it, I go sit, I stand up, and I reach for the reward. And the dog's like, he sits, he sees me reaching for his ball or food, and he's like, holy shit, I'm collecting the dots, that's a clue, bam! So now I walk him out of the room, and I walk back in, I go, seek, and this time I don't have to do as much, because the dog got a clue, and he's like, shit, I've been here before. Last time we did this, I went over there, smelt that damn thing in the ground, sat, and I got my toy. So if he comes over, he sits, he gets the toy. Boom, good boy. Now, at first when you're training a dog will come over, he'll smell it, and he'll look at you. Because he hasn't learned the response you wanted. So at first I want to go, seek, sit, good boy. And that's your stimulus, response, reward to train a dog. Stimulus, seek, he smells the odor. Stimulus, he smells it. I say sit, that's the response I want. Reward, I give him the ball or food, whatever I'm training him to want, and he gets. Now that thing I give him, I only want him getting that when he finds that specific odor. So after you do that for a couple days, he figures it out pretty quick. Damn, I got this down. Then we may introduce a second odor. Now I'm going to bring in some C4. Set it on the ground. Seek. He walks over. As soon as he smells it, he's like, shit, I never smelled it before. What the hell is this? I go, sit. I reach for the ball. He's like, shit. That's the same thing you did on that dynamite shit. Now we have two odors. Then I'll put C4 and dynamite. And I'll bring him over and I'll go, seek. And he goes to dynamite. And he sits. I go, good boy. I take it away. I walk over to the thing. I go, seek. He smells the dynamite and he sits. He gets the ball. He goes, shit. So now we have him introduced to two odors. And now from there, I will start making it a little bit harder. Now instead of being in the middle of the room with nothing, I'll put one in the corner of the room. And I'll walk him around to two corners before I take him to that corner. And when he finds it, he sits, good boy. And then I'll make it after he learns to find it on the ground where it's easy. And handlers that don't understand this will teach a dog to go to the ground too much and then they can't train it. So once he gets proficient at the ground level, then I'm going to put it at nose level. I'm going to raise the distance. So now we've went from the middle of the room with nothing else. Now we're in a room with furniture and it's at nose level. Then we're going to go with multiple different things in a busy room, an office where people sit and there's human scent, and we're going to hide it in the ceiling in high areas. And you slowly work this hierarchy until your dog goes, man, I know how to find all this. You do the same thing with people. When you're finding people, you have a guy in a field, there's nobody else. You have the guy move, the dog's like, shit, I saw something out there, use his eyes. Then you have the guy make the noise when he moves, and the dog goes, shit, I saw him and I hear him. And then you have the handler say, where's he at, buddy? Find him. Find him is for people, seek is for drugs or bombs. So I go, find him. Where's he at, buddy? Go get him. Dog's like, holy shit, I know where he's at, Dad. He just moved and he made noise. I know exactly. Well, I want the wind blowing his scent when I'm going to him on the site and hearing, so the dog naturally smells his scent and then he learns, you know what? every time this guy moves and makes a noise and I go find him and I get to bite and chew on him and satisfy my prey-kill instinct, now I'm smelling him. So the dog learns. Then you progress to make it harder, you make him move less, you make the dog find him just on smell, and then the dog starts, and now when he's walking around, the dog's always got his nose in the air going, man, I know there's somebody out here. Where's he at? And he's smelling the air, and then all it takes is for a small scent to hit him, and he's like, shit, that's a human, I smell it. And he'll start pulling, and then you follow him, and you gotta slow him down, you can't let him run. These things where they let the dog run to find somebody, a dog will run through a scent cone. And if you're defeating a dog, I want to approach where there's dogs when there's a high wind. And I want to know where the wind's coming. Ideally, I want the wind in my face of my target. So if I'm approaching this area, I want the wind coming right at me. Basically blowing the dog's scent to me instead of blowing my scent to the dog. That's the best way to approach a dog. It's called upwind or downwind. If you're downwind, your scent's being blown to the dog. If you're upwind, then their scent is not being blown to the dog. So, I want to approach a person from an upwind area. Well, wait a minute, I have to check those things. I'm kind of getting my terms mixed up here. I want to approach to where, in layman's terms, instead of getting an upwind or downwind, because I haven't read it done in a while, I want to approach to where the scent, my scent, is being blown away from my target. So the wind is blowing in my face and I'm approaching. A dog's not going to smell you. Why? Remember, I told you, smell is the best, hearing is next, sight's best. So if you're defeating a dog, you want to defeat his smell first. The best way to defeat his smell is not to be in a scent cone, not allow for the wind. What do you do when there's no wind? Well, it's a little bit harder. When there's no wind, your scent tends to stay around you. It doesn't go anywhere. If I threw up a bag of flour right now, or a handful of flour, and you see all the dust fall around me, imagine that's a scent cone. And if there's no wind, it's going to just fall and settle around me. So unless a dog walks over this area, he's not going to know I was there. However, if I throw up a handful of flour and it blows straight toward the dog, that's exactly what your scent does. It blows to that dog. And it's the same way with smoke. Sometimes you'll see a fire burning and the smoke will go straight up. Sometimes because the fire is really hot, hot air rises, it makes it go straight. But if you ever look at a smoke cloud, you can tell which way the wind's blowing. You look at a smoke, it goes up and it goes this way, the wind's blowing this way. Okay? So this would be downwind. If you're blowing, it goes down the wind. So do you want to be approaching from this way? Yes, because the wind's blowing this way. I want to approach the dog this way. There's no way for him to smell me because it's blowing my scent away from him. And that's really critical and probably the best way to avoid a dog. Of course, once you get rid of his smell senses and you don't have to worry about that, now you have to worry about his hearing and his sight. Dogs pick up movement better than they do standing still. If you move slow, a dog probably won't see you. And I mean really slow. I'm not talking this slow. I'm talking sniper slow, crawling, low crawling, a little bit at a time. Your movements are slow. You're not doing anything quick. You're not running from cover to here or running from cover there. Any fast movement, a dog will key on that and pick you up. And then he'll start focusing his ears to try and hear you. So, to defeat his sight, you need to go slow and move slow. Stay in the trees. Stay where you have some sort of cover that will hide your movement. Dog won't see you. They're not that great. People say, oh, that dog saw somebody 2 miles away. He's full of shit. Okay? The other thing you want to defeat is hearing. How do you defeat hearing? You move when an airplane's coming by, when a helicopter's landing, when trucks are coming in and out. You move when you have other noises covering your movement. You move quiet and you move slow so you don't make noise. If you're running around dragging your feet on rocks, dog's going to hear you. If you're walking quietly and slowly, he's not going to hear you. So those are the 3 main ways that horses, now our dogs are going to find you or understand you. And horses is about the same way. Not much difference between horses and dogs when it comes to their survival. Except dogs are predators, horses are prey animals. So when you're training them, you have to use different techniques. You can't use the same techniques. Because a dog likes you and he wants to be part of the family and he's a prey. And humans are predators and dogs are predators. So we have this bonding and we know how to talk and we're focused and our eyes are in front of our head versus on the side of our head and we're predators. things that are hunted, their eyes are on the side of the head to give them more of a 360 view to find predators. And predators' eyes are straight in front so we can hunt and focus. So dogs are predators, and you need to realize when you're trying to defeat a dog, how are they going to find you? They're going to find you by smelling you, seeing you, or hearing you. And if you can defeat those three things by using your environment, moving slower, keeping your scent down, you're okay. Now, can you fake a dog out? Absolutely. Can I have 4 humans come over here upwind that aren't going to approach your base? Let's say my target's over here, and I want to approach over here to set a bomb and blow something up. And I know they got dogs. Well, I'm going to do a distraction and have 4 guys get a mile away over here, and they're going to be walking back and forth and clinking their guns and making noise and walking and dragging their feet and talking and lighting cigarettes. And the dogs are going to be like, dude, there's something way out there I can kind of see. And he's going to be all distracted on them while I'm moving in over here. If they're upwind, so their smell's coming down, the dog's going to be smelling those 4 or 5 people. It's not going to be smelling me approaching on the other side. So can you distract a dog? Hell yeah, they're easy to distract. Dogs, once they get focused on something, they're on it. Mainly you can distract the human who's working the dog because he doesn't figure it out. If my dog's going after something, and it's called a false alert or something, my dog's pulling me all night wanting to go this way, and I'm like, what the hell are you looking at? I can't see nothing. I don't see anything. You've been doing it all night. I'm tired of it. Just leave me alone. Knock it off. Lay down. Well, now my dog isn't going to respond to you, and if you can get a dog to do that and tease a dog to keep responding while you're at a distance, then the handler will make the dog ignore you. Another way to defeat a dog. You can put a whole bunch of smell out there. I can go out over here, throw a bunch of meat. I can kill an animal, drag a dead animal. I can kill a human, cut their head off, carry their head, and throw their head over here to put odor. And then I'm going to go all the way around over here. So while the dog and the handler's trying to figure out, hey, man, my dog's getting alert. I'm finding something. Let's get a patrol. Let's get a light. Slap up a trip flare. Get a slap flare in the air. See what we can see and lighten that area. My dog's hit. I know there's something over there. There is. There's a cut-off head from the enemy that I threw over there. Meanwhile, while you guys are doing this, either part of my team or whatever is hitting you from the back, rear, or side. So defeating dogs are pretty easy. You can also defeat them when they attack you pretty easy. I mean, the best way is just to sacrifice an arm. I always give him my weak arm, my left arm. My right arm's stronger. I can grab his windpipe and crush it. I can come on top and grab if he's got a collar or chain, which most working dogs do. If I can grab that chain while he's chewing on his arm and give it a good twist, I can twist my arm out. It'll choke him as I'm twisting it. He'll cut his air off. He'll have to gasp. When he gasps for air, he'll let go of my arm. I can spin that around, get him between my legs, lock him between my legs, and he's done. I can stab him, cut his head off, or choke him out, and he'll die. So defeating a dog, probably the best way from an attack is you got to sacrifice something. The people that get chewed up by dogs, their fear takes over. They're running, they're pulling, they're trying to kick him off, they're trying to keep him up dead. Dog's biting a leg, dog's biting an arm, they're trying to fight, they're not running, they're not getting away. You're not going to feed a dog when you let fear take over. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to do that. I mean, first time I got bit by a dog, I was scared to death. Like, shit, that dog's coming to me and teeth and shit, and I got to stick my arm in his mouth. Are you crazy? It was scary. But after you do it hundreds of thousands of times, you're like, shit, I got these dogs figured out. I can slap them, I can pull it off. I can rip my arm out of the wrap, give him that wrap, and I have another wrap over here. I can feed him this wrap. I can kick him in his belly because I can tell when he's going to let go, release the pressure and go off my leg so I can get my leg back. So I can kind of kick him in the belly. I can kick him in the side. I can slap him on the nose. When you get comfortable around working dogs like that, when a dog bites you, especially after you've been bit a few times, like I said, my medical record's pretty thick. I've been bit, I don't know how many times. I gotta say at least 20, if not more, but probably a lot more. I don't know. I know I was in a doctor a lot for getting wounds packed from getting a dog bite. Either someone else's dog, either a wrap, guy went off the wrap, got me in the leg, dog jumped off, got me in the shoulder, and the wrap only went to the elbow. My own dog turned on me because I stepped on his tail or stepped on his pee-pee. I mean, I've been bit a few times. When you're working with dogs, you're gonna get bit, okay? So how do you defeat that? Another way to defeat it is to have a big tarp or a blanket. When a dog comes at you, they are very targeted oriented. They're going to come straight at you, straight in the center. If you've got a big tarp or something right here, a blanket, and he's coming at you, and you got one guy doing this, you got two guys with a blanket. As soon as he gets within a few feet of me, if they pull that blanket straight up, he's going to bite. He's going to be in the dark. You can swoop him up, put him in a blanket. Now you got to be careful because he can still bite in that blanket. So you want to have gloves on or whatever, because you still may get bit through the blanket. But if it's a thick tarp, you got that dog done. He's out of the fight. Once you get a dog covered in a canvas or in a blanket, he's done. All he can do is bite around and guess. he can hear or whatever. And once he bites something, hell, I'll put a stick in that blanket. That dog will bite that stick through the blanket. As soon as I know where his nose is at, I'll grab that blanket around his neck, tie a string, and he's done. He's out of the fight. So defeating a dog in that way is pretty easy. You can set a trap. The dog comes in, you know, you got a spear with a knife, a stick, he's coming straight at you, stick that stick straight up, his mouth's going to be open. You're going to either stab him in the neck, throat, chest, or straight in the mouth. He's done. Again, sacrifice the arm. Give him the arm, wrap a blanket, take your jacket off, wrap your jacket around it. I'm going to feed him my arm with my jacket. I've got a knife in his hand. As soon as he jumps on me and grabs this, because that's what he's going to do, that's how they're trained. If you present it the same way they're trained, the dog's going to follow his training. So I'm going to wrap a jacket around my arm. That dog jumps and dives at me. I'm going to feed him that jacket. He's going to grab that jacket. And when he does, I'm going to come in here with a knife and go straight up through his throat, and his head and his neck. He's done. He's out of the fight. That dog's done. And I don't have any injuries. You know, you set a hole, a trap, go over a ditch, cover up something. When the dog runs over it, he'll fall through it. I mean, once he falls in there, he'll break his neck because he's going at a fast pace. Put a cage up, a pole or a little cage. As soon as he gets close, you stand it up. If it's got spikes on it, he'll run right into it and stab himself. You could have a cage standing next to you like this. Dog's coming at you, he lets him go, he's coming straight at you. As soon as he gets here, you're ready with this thing. As soon as he gets close, you spin it. If it's got stapes, he's going to jump, jab, try to bite you. He's done. So defeating a dog is pretty easy in my book, but I've worked one a long time. So maybe I've given you some information that you don't understand. Maybe I haven't. Maybe you think I'm rambling and it don't matter, but whatever. I'm trying to educate that if you were ever on a fighting force or in another country or in your own country trying to defeat someone with a dog, hopefully you have a better understanding of how they work, how they trained, and what they're going to do and what they're going to do with their training. And you can mess with the handler just as much as you can mess with the dog, because the handler's human and they're usually pretty easy to mess with if they're not on their A game. So, and you know, 10% of the people, 3%ers, whatever, you got to be on your A game. All right, we'll end that there on defeating dogs.